What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Cautiously Optimistic. We're on season 2, episode 5, I believe, joined by Adzi and Socko this evening. Lads, how we doing?
What's the crack?
Oh, good. What's the story?
Listen, can't complain. Sure, who would listen? You know yourself.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Might have to crack a can on stream. We'll see how it goes, though. Play that for tomorrow.
Had the nitro surge at the ready.
Yeah. Guys, if you do want to enjoy the stream, make sure to drop a like on it down below. If you can hit around the 50 like mark, that would be fantastic. And if you can subscribe while you're at it as well, that would be super. We're near the 3K mark. I think we're only 60 or 70 away, so we're getting there really, really close to hitting the huge milestones. That'd be great if you can help us get over that. That'd be super. So yeah, really, really appreciate it. But a lot to get through in tonight's show, discussing obviously game week 5, game week 6, and then looking at towards game week 7 this weekend. And then I think there's a bit of a break, if I'm not mistaken, for a week or so. I think in the league rather than after that, I think. The last game week before that'll break, so that'd be nice as well. But we'll jump into things first of all with the kind of breaking stories. It's not really a breaking story, but the story that kind of did the rounds today. I think was it Mark Ty in the Times? His story was on Robbie Keane and how the FAI paying Robbie Keane €250,000 a year for doing nothing is an embarrassment on both sides. And it kind of begs the question, to a degree, is he potentially kind of tainting his legacy? Obviously, our record goal scorer, super footballer for us and a great servant on the football side of things. But this seems a bit, I don't know, it doesn't reflect well on him, I don't think.
It's a tricky one. Like, that contract was signed while John Delaney was still there. I think Mick's deal was only 2 years, but for some reason Robbie Keane got a 4-year deal, and
that makes no sense.
And at the time,
that just makes no sense at all.
At the time, Keane was not many things during the Delaney era did, to be fair.
Yeah.
But at the time, Robbie Keane said, "Listen, when Mick leaves, like, will you go on board with Stephen?" And he said, "Oh, we'll have to have that chat down the line." And as far as I'm aware, no chat took place. He just didn't want Robbie in his backroom team, which is totally fair enough. But yeah, it's a tricky situation from both sides. Like, Jonathan Hill has kind of inherited this situation, but for Robbie, like, on the one hand, he absolutely is getting 250 grand for doing nothing. Since he's left the FAI, there was talk he might go into an ambassadorial role. That hasn't happened yet. And then on the other hand, legally in the contract, he's entitled to it. So I think we'd all be hypocrites here if we said, well, we turned down 250 grand for doing nothing. It's just a tricky one on both sides, and I don't know what the right answer is.
You can't fault Robbie at all. He was given a contract for 4 years, and Mick was only given the 2, and whatever happened in between all that, obviously didn't see Keane getting a job as assistant or anything to do with the FAI after. So you have to put a lot of blame on FAI. I don't see Keane, like, Keane's just he's just obliging by his contract. He's given that, like, it's through no fault of his own. He was given that. It was more so the management, the FAI, the contract, and so on. I don't think it really taints him at all. You know, if you're given 250 grand a year for doing nothing, like Socko said, you take it. You know, it's nothing. I don't think that's anything necessarily to do with him and stuff. Fair enough if there was something else that he had to carry on doing and he refused to do it, and you know, there's probably more of a legal situation in terms of that, but it's more the FAI's fault.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and it is kind of. I think he would have been open to joining Stephen Kenny's backroom staff if Stephen Kenny wanted that, but it was just, I think, a case of Stephen Kenny didn't want them as part of his backroom team, which is fair enough. You're not going to bring someone in for the sake of it, really. You need to have people.
It kind of says a lot, maybe, about Robbie's, like, qualifications, or that, like, Stephen doesn't see much in him, much into taking him on board when Stephen's lost 3 assistants in the last year. Duff, Anthony Barry, and Roy Higgins, and like 3 times he didn't choose to call Robbie in. So I think that's really interesting as well.
Yeah, there might be a bit of a history there. You just never know these types of things as well. You just never know but what their relationship is like. There could be something like that as well. But yeah, it's a tricky one. Obviously the state of Irish football at the moment, like he'd come across as like this kind of hero figure if he was to kind of walk away from the deal and kind of leave that money in Irish football. Obviously the state of it and like it could really do with that money, I suppose. But yeah, from his own personal point of view, yeah, you're kind of saying, if we're in that scenario, realistically, are we going to walk away from that?
You're not going to give it away
like
for free.
No, exactly. Yeah,
No,
yeah.
You have to give him something to do.
Yeah,
if he
and that's what I think.
Obliged with.
The impression I got from the article was that Jonathan Hill is nearly kind of a little bit intimidated by Robbie Keane and doesn't kind of approach him in a manner to get him on board and do something and kind of sit down with him about this ambassadorial role, whatever it is. It seems like kind of Jonathan is a little bit intimidated by him. That was kind of the impression I got, but who knows, I suppose.
Yeah, I mightn't agree with that so much. Like I was up in the FAI on Thursday, and Jonathan Hill was saying they both agreed to not talk anymore about it, so they don't want to make any more of this than it is. I think it's embarrassing, probably for both sides. As Mike.
Do you think it's more embarrassing to like not like talk about it, or do you think it'd be better if he was open about it and honest about it? It's hard. It's tricky, isn't it? Maybe it'd be more embarrassing if he was open.
He has to save face as well, you know. He can't let anyone undermine him. So he's probably, in a way, he's probably smart, not really talking about it too much and whatnot. But I don't know, depends on what way he phrases it.
I think hopefully
if he was going to speak about it.
Contract is over. I think the end of the summer. Did it say it in the piece? So hopefully all this talk will be over by then. And but there's no doubt like that money could be well used at grassroots level. But, yeah,
that's the story of champagne football, I suppose, though, isn't it? Realistically,
not surprised at all.
Yeah, no, exactly. A lot of money could have been put to better use, unfortunately. But we'll leave that one there. It's just kind of it is a tricky one. There's probably no right answer. Like it is a tricky one. Obviously, Robbie Keane he's not lacking the few quid. So like from that point of view, like I saw a lot of comments that people saying like he's already very rich, like he should walk away from it. But to a degree, like his football career is over. He might not get a coaching like salary kind of similar to that for the rest of his career. Like he needs to look out for his family and stuff. So you have to understand that point of view as well. So yeah, definitely
he's make a living for himself. I know he probably has his own businesses and his own investments, but you know, you're not going to turn, as we said, you're not going to turn away that kind of money.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. So, yeah, no, it is a tricky one. We'll move in anyway to game week 5, lads. This is obviously Friday night. We'll look at these ones kind of briefly before jumping into Monday night's game. So, obviously, start off with Drogheda. Lost 3-0 to Sligo Rovers. Obviously, Drogheda, disappointed for them. We might touch on that a little bit later on, but Sligo are flying at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah. Sligo were absolutely excellent. I was there, and I think they went 3-0 up after like 30 minutes or so. I think it was Will Fitzgerald got one. I think Max Manny got one. I can't remember who got the other. But they were excellent, and it really could have been 4 or 5 if it wasn't for the Drogheda keeper making his debut as well. And there's a lot of he's on loan, I think, from Lincoln at the moment. And there's a few people watching him there. Drogheda were poor. They came out much better the second half. Georgie Poynton, Mr. Peno, 5 minutes into the second half, and it was game over from then. Like, but yeah, Sligo are real dark horses early on in this season. And I was talking to Liam Buckley after, and he said he was really impressed with his side this year and the squad. They made 5 or 6 changes from the side that played the week before, but they've been excellent this season.
100%.
What was the attendance, do you know, of the game? Because just what Drogheda did last week with the UCD game, I wonder if that kind of translated towards this game. Like,
I'll have a look here. I think it was 2.
Probably close enough to a sellout, was it? I'd say, based off how well the UCD game went, I'd say it was close enough to being a sellout, I'd imagine.
It was 21.
That's good. Like, I'd be disappointed from Drogheda that they couldn't capitalise on. Obviously, it was a great week from last week, selling out, like having a sellout against UCD and giving a result like they did. So I know it's like we're in fine form at the moment, but I was kind of disappointed the way Drogheda lost that, especially the man that conceded the goals. They conceded all 3 goals in the first 20 minutes or something, or very quickly anyway. But in fairness to Sligo, they were very clinical. They were, what I saw of it, they were class, and they're going to be, even after the game on Monday night, they're going to be definitely up there for the majority of the season anyway, and then see how they kick on towards the end. But they're definitely out the gate. They're a threat, and
100%.
they're a team to be feared, or sort of be skeptical against.
Absolutely. Move over to Talca Park. Shelburne came back from a goal down to get a very decent point against Dundalk at home. Sean Boyd off the mark with a penalty in this one. Definitely, I'd say for Shell's point of view, definitely a point gained rather than 2 points dropped.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially going off what I've heard on Monday, I didn't see much of the game against Dundalk now, but especially going off the game on Monday, they really are Duff is really imposing his identity in terms of who he wants Shells to play, and they are going to nick points in these big games, with the exception of Pats and stuff like that. But as well, Dundalk, I think, especially now, I think it's 5 draws in their first 6 games or something as well.
Yeah.
So then Stephen O'Donnell would obviously be disappointed considering the squad he's brought in and whatnot, and struggling to get a win and trying to impose themselves on games like that. They went 1-0 up, but then Shells, obviously in Talca Park, great atmosphere and so on. They're gonna eventually come back into the game, especially if it's that tight. So definitely a point game for Shells and a point lost. 2 points lost for 3 points lost for Dundalk. Sorry.
Yeah, just losing that lead late on is definitely a killer blow. But Pat Hoban off the mark for Dundalk, and I think it's a lot of draws this season. They'll be disappointed with that. I think are they still unbeaten? I think, but
yeah,
just a lot of draws. I think, isn't it?
Yeah, I think five draws and 1 win,
something like that. I think, yeah. So yeah, it's a disappointing one from their point of view to be dropping points, but they'll take some positives from the fact that they're not losing games and they're kind of still building that team under O'Donnell as well. Then UCD was postponed against Derry, which was disappointing for Derry because that they would have seen that as a good opportunity to get another 3 points on the board and kind of really reaffirm their kind of title aspirations. But we'll move on to Ballybuffet. St. Pat's putting together a couple of wins now after that Shamrock Rovers victory, putting together a really, really good win in Donegal, obviously a notoriously difficult place to go. Finn Harp's in a spot of bother this season, but for Pat's, great result.
Yeah, they had a tricky start there. I think that draw at Bows and the defeat the game before, but they got their season back on track, beating Shamrock Rovers. We were saying the other night it was their first league win versus Rovers since May 2018. And yeah, they've kicked on since then. I've been impressed enough with them so far. Obviously, Tim Clancy in his first season there after Stephen O'Donnell leaving. Obviously, the likes of Owen Doyle and coming in the season, and the goalkeeper Joseph Anang, I think he's on 4 clean sheets or something in this season so far. So they seem to be flying. And then on the other hand, like Finn Harp's really struggling, really poor start this season. I think it's 2 or 3 points from 5 games or something.
Yeah.
So they have to start putting like I know it's a long season, but they need to start putting points on the board to bridge that gap.
100%. Shamrock Rovers beat Bohemians 1-0. We kind of touched on this in the live stream on Monday evening, but Adzi, great result for Rovers. You're kind of saying it wasn't the best performance from them, but it was all about the result, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. First half, Bernsters became a flying, similar to the Pats game. Means you were attacking Bows like that. Could have had a couple of goals easy in the first half, but then died off a little bit in the second half, but it was still very comfortable in the end. I thought Bows didn't really create much. They had one chance from Chris Twardek that was blocked off the line by Cotter, and that was it for them. I think Rovers were fairly comfortable in the game. They weren't really challenged as much as I thought, which surprised me from Bows end because they've always been up for it the last 2 games. It's never an easy game to play against Bows, but especially after going 1-0 up, it just seemed very comfortable, and Bows didn't really look like scoring much and so on. But like, that wasn't an incredible performance at all, but ultimately very happy with the result as per. You can't go wrong with winning the Dublin derby, of course.
Absolutely. A couple of bits and pieces, talking points wise in this one. Obviously, cool to see Togden, this the YouTuber. I think it's over 800,000 subscribers. Doing like a video around the match and stuff, and it's kind of cool to see that, and a good exposure for the league as well.
That's a
Yeah,
great
100%.
video. Like it reminds me of that. Remember the Copper 90 video that they did a couple of years ago on the derby? It reminds me. It's reminiscent of that, but now it's more so from the Rovers' point of view. I know the Copper 91, they're kind of in the Bows fans. They had a few Rovers interviews and so on, but they're in amongst the Bows fans and whatnot. So it was nice to see from a Rovers' point of view and so on. So it was a very, I thought it was very good video between even just showing like, going around Dublin, like having the point and stuff.
Yeah.
I know he might not necessarily go to where Rovers fans or Bows fans would have went for it before the game, but he's still, getting that culture of like what a young Irish fan or young League of Ireland fan does before games, chatting to all the fans before games. He was chatting to some of my mates, and they were kind of telling them what to expect, and have a bit of a laugh and whatnot, and even the words he said at the end of the game that this game, as small as it is, it needs to be brought out there and it needs to be exposed everywhere, because he made the point that you have a young, passionate fan base there who really want to get behind their team from both a Rovers perspective and a Rovers perspective. I thought he did a smashing job on it, and I'm delighted to just share that with everybody.
Yeah. A couple of good talking points he kind of raised as well. He was talking to fans about kind of the game not being on TV, things like that as well. I thought it was cool that he kind of touched on a couple of important issues that kind of surrounds the league as well.
Yeah, 100%. I was really impressed by the video. It was the first time I'd ever seen him, to be honest. Like, I won't lie. And I don't know, just at the start, I was expecting like a not as comprehensive video, or not a thought, like it was a really thoughtful video. It wasn't just some like lazy vlog by some young fella. Like, he's really good at what he does. He got a few great vox pops off the fans before, explaining like the difference between like the League of Ireland's competing with the GA and the rugby here especially. I thought that was brilliant as well. And then him amongst the fans, like Adam, you were there week in, week out. Like, it was super, and I thought he captured that really well. Like, every time I've been to Rovers, in my opinion, people might not like this. They're like the best. They're the loudest crowd, loudest crowd in the league. Like, every time I've been there, like it's just not. And I know like it's a bigger stadium, but just that stand. Is it the south stand, Adam, behind the goal?
Yeah.
Oh, super.
The loudest stand.
Yeah, no, it was brilliant. Each time I've been to Rovers, like, kind of, you get goosebumps hearing them sometimes. Like, it's absolutely brilliant support.
Yeah. No, fair play. It might not be 3 points.
Funny.
Yeah.
Why is that funny? Like,
no. You said it. You said
compliment
the loudest fans, but look, respectfully disagree with that.
It might not be 3 points, but as far as Bows are concerned, it'll feel a lot better that one of their players went viral for doing a skill move. Stephen Mallon, in fairness to him, it was a great piece of skill, but it's not 3 points at the end of the day.
Not 3 points, no.
But it was magic, wasn't it? In fairness to him.
Oh no, it was class. Literally, just it wasn't like he got lucky with it at all. He fully meant exactly what he did.
Yeah,
and it was he was probably the only positive out of Bows on the weekend. In fairness, he was very good. I was very impressed with him.
Yeah, that's a good player.
I thought the other lads were fairly quiet, but even Graham Burke had a little bit of a flick. I think there were 3 Bows players behind them, and whatever we did, he did this little flick and whatnot, and that was very good as well. So it was a good, all in all, for the whole game. It was that wasn't the best game, but it showed the quality that we have in the league, but also, as Togdan revealed in his blog, that there's a bit of crack to be had and stuff as well. So I think it was a good derby in terms of showing off what the league has and what the derby has in particular.
Yeah. Moving on to Monday night's games. Obviously, we'll start off with the one that we did the live watch along for, also match day vlog as well up on the channel at the moment. Bohemians won, Shelburne won. So that's 1 point for Bohemians out of the Dublin Derby games over the weekend. Not a great return from a Bows point of view.
They were so poor. Like, three of us watched it. I think they'd, apart from the goal, which was kind of came late on, I can remember them having like one clear-cut chance for really. I thought Shelburne fully deserved the 3 points. Like, a point is decent, but they'll definitely be disappointed and kind of see it as 2 points dropped. Like 2 1-1 draws in a row for them now. But I suppose, like, as long as you're not losing games, Ross, you were saying how the team sets up, and they set up like from starting with the defense and not to concede many goals. And I suppose if you're not conceding that many, it gives you a good foundation to build off. Then, Sean Boyd coming off with his scoring with his first touch,
Super
second
finish,
goal,
giving the bell and everything too. Great.
2 goals in 2 games. Like he looks hopefully like he might have a good season ahead of him.
Yeah, no, hugely positive, and it was a clinical finish as well. Straight off the bench, one chance, buries it first time. Great goal. Shane Farrell did very well as well, pulling it back, bit of quality in the box as well. And I thought Shane Farrell was very, very unfortunate not to get a penalty as well. I thought that he was taken down in the box. I thought it was a Stonewall penalty. And I thought for Bohemians' goal as well that it was a clear foul on Aaron O'Driscoll. It completely pushed him in the back. So Toshel were very, very unlucky not to get the 3 points. And I thought first half Bows were on top without really creating an awful lot. I thought second half Shells were definitely the better side, and it's a case of Shells just improving week on week, and as you say, kind of they're finding the system. They're kind of getting used to it as the weeks go on, and it's very, very promising. I have to say now, and I think Damien Duff will be quietly pleased with how the team's done so far this season, and you can see real signs for optimism as the season goes on. I think
it's going to take time. You know, we discussed this on Friday. It's with any new manager, any club, you could be Shells or you could be Man United. You need to set a system in place for you and back it for at least a season. Like, that's the least amount of time you can, give for that. And like, hope Duff does well. I hope he gets the time just for his own sake, not necessarily for Shells, but you know, just instill a style of play which he's clearly doing. You know, bring in a few players here and there as the league goes on, and you know, their Shells will become back a mainstay if they follow this process.
100%. We kind of touched on during the live stream as well. He has that name, like players will want to come and play for Damien Duff, and has that kind of draw players to him, that kind of factor as well. And it feels like the players are really playing for him, kind of put their bodies on the line as well. So yeah, really, really positive signs for Shelburne, I think, and we'll touch on it in a little bit. But a massive game against Finn Harps at home on Friday night. Those are the games it's all well and good putting up fights against Dundalk and Bows and stuff and getting your points, but it's about kind of your home games against the likes of Finn Harps. Winning those games is absolutely integral. So we'll see how they get on. And that we'll touch on that a bit later on as well. But next up, Derry City beating Drogheda by 2-0. Jamie McGonigal with the double here as well. He looks like a very, very good player. Banging them in so far. And Adzi, you won't have the best memories of him, but that finish against Rovers showed what he's all about. So much quality.
Savage. You know,
2 from him here.
Especially in the 94th minute against us, 95th minute, just to have that composure and stick into that corner. They have looked, they found their talisman, and it's been a while. It's been a long time coming for Derry, especially now with the financial backing they've had. And it's great to see them up challenging again, and you know, not near kind of the dogfight down the bottom that they've had the last few years. I know they've jumped in now at 4th and 5th a lot of the time, but now that they've had that back and they've become a bit of a mainstay and so on. Unfortunate for Michael Duffy, actually.
I saw that. Good to say that. Yeah,
broken his leg, and like that was. I know he's gone back home to Derry, but that was a major concern about would he be able to stay fit and whatnot and whatever. Now I know this is a different type of injury. This is, you know, he's full on broken his leg. It's not like a hamstring injury or anything like that. But even still, having him out for a long time, who brings that experience with also that quality and a bit of pace that he has, that's very demoralising for them.
Massive blow. Massive blow. Probably one of their biggest signings over the winter period, and that kind of player that can go head to head with a Jack Byrne for the Player of the Year award come the end of the season and be that difference in the title race potentially as well. Yeah, massive blow, and we all wish him a speedy recovery. And hopefully, we get to see him back before the end of the season as soon as possible. From draw a point of view, Socko, that's a 2-0 loss against Derry, a 3-0 was it? I think against Sligo on the Friday night as well. Not scoring too many bar the UCD game and conceding quite a good few. Worrying times at Drogheda, I think.
Yeah, I'm just looking there. After 5 games, 1 win, 4 losses, -7 goal difference. Like they haven't, and that 1 win came against UCD, who newly promoted. You'd expect Drogheda, I think, came 6th last year. You expect them to be beating them. Really concerning for them. I've seen them twice this season now, and they haven't looked anywhere near where they should be. I know it's a strong league this year, and especially with like Shells coming up as well, but you'd still expect Drogheda to be safe enough. And if they don't get a good run of results together, like it can be so easy to get dragged into that relegation fight. And I know they beat UCD, but like Finn Harps had a good few wins last year against the sides up top end. If they're not beaten, like Drogheda could be pulled into the relegation fight when they go to play a UCD or if they go to play Finn Harps, as you were saying. Like if they're not beating them, I think they could be in huge trouble.
Yeah, no, for sure. Moving on then to Dundalk, 0-0 draw with Shamrock Rovers. Adzi, you watched this one. Who was this a fair result, or do you think one side kind of deserved to win it over the other?
I think Rovers probably deserved to win it. We had probably the better chance and so on. I know Pat Hooban in the second half, there was one chance Dundalk had, and he shouldn't have finished it. He plays over the bar, but I think over the course of the game, Rovers had the slightly better chances. They created more and so on. And we were very unfortunate. I think both keepers, in fairness to them, had great games. Both Leon Poles and Shepherd. So they were on fire. There was no way he was going past the 2 of them. I think Rovers would be disappointed with sort of some players or how they played. I know Gaffney coming off the score sheet on Friday must be disappointed he's not in the starting 11. I know they tried that front three I've been talking about with Byrne, Burke and Mandrew. Seemed all right. Mandrew was played out behind the back a few times. And so on. He just needs to keep doing those runs, and his goals will start coming. Rich Down, in fairness to him, I've been his biggest critic. He had an alright game, hit the bar, and got into good positions for a few shots. Although I do think Dylan Watts is the type of player you need to be playing, because he's been playing out of his skin this season for us as well. Regards to Dundalk, worrying times for them. They're getting not worrying times, not as bad as last year. That's probably unfair to say, but another draw for them. I know it's against us, it's against Rovers and so on, but for Dundalk, these are the games you have to be winning as well. So they need to be a lot more clinical in front of goal, especially with the likes of Hoob and stuff up top. You'd be expecting him to score a lot more. I think we probably deserved a bit more, but a Dundalk fan would probably say the opposite, and you can't really argue with both.
Not a disastrous result for either side, really. Like, I'd say both of them will be they won't be looking back at the end of the year and be gutted about that result. It's kind of one of those ones, isn't it? It's like, it's kind of just your kind of typical, that's it. Like, Dundalk still kind of find their feet a little bit as well, as you said, and those draws, if they can it's a case of just trying to turn them into wins, really. But it's a lot harder said than done, and the fact they're not losing games is, I say O'Donnell will take that as a positive, especially with the kind of new side and kind of taking that time to gel together. The fact they're not losing games is a positive from them as well.
Exactly the same as Shells. They've had a complete revamp of not just the team, the whole club essentially has gone under a revamp. I think they're back under local ownership now as well, aren't they?
Yeah.
Or they? Yeah. So that's gonna take longer than actually developing a team and giving themselves an identity to play with. So in fairness to them, it's not that bad. they just need to be a lot more patient with it. And O'Donnell's done well for especially just stepping in and getting the players he's had in, just completely revamped the squad. And so again, for Dundalk, it's just going to take a lot of time for them to get back to where they once were, challenging for league titles and cups again.
Yeah. A player that we're not going to that we'll hear a lot of, throughout the season, I believe Aidan Keane scored a hat-trick for Sligo Rovers in a 3-1 win over Finn Harp. Socko, you were very impressed when you saw him at Richmond Park, I believe it was, wasn't it? I think that might have been his debut for the club. Fantastic display again on Monday evening. Hat-trick for him, and great start to the campaign for Sligo Rovers.
That's fantastic. He scored a super goal. I think he scored the winner against Patslayer, as you were saying. And hat-trick here, and especially find the first on Twitter if you get a chance, was an absolute rocket. It was class. Obviously, he played under Liam Buckley at St. Pat's, I think, for a year. Still only a young fella, and he looks like one of many strikers that have been on fire recently in the league, like Jamie McGonigal, looking like Stephen Bradley at Dundalk as well, who've been kind of firing in goals early on. And Sligo just kicking yet again. Obviously, you'd be expecting them to beat the likes of Finn Harps. I suppose Finn Harps would be happy to actually score a goal so far. But yeah, Sligo are absolutely motoring at the moment, and it's themselves, Derry and Dundalk still unbeaten, but like Dundalk kind of 5 draws out of 6. Them and Derry still unbeaten, 11 points, one off Pats on top with a game in hand. Derry have a game in hand as well. So with all the talk before the league started about your Derry with the money or your Rovers, third league in a row, Pats the cup winners, like no one kind of talked about Sligo much, and they're really, really excited to see them now as the season progresses.
Who knows?
Everyone thought Sligo was going to go through a bit of a rebuild again. Especially after losing the players they did. They
almost did, bringing in 7 new signings and replacing John Mahon, Johnny Kenny. Seems to be working.
I was actually more worried for them losing John Mahon than Johnny Kenny. I thought Johnny Kenny would be a loss, but I felt like probably more replaceable than John Mahon, who's been super for them for the last 2 seasons. Been a fantastic centre half for them. Losing him, I thought was going to be a real big blow. But in fairness to them, they've done really, really well. It's just keeping your Greg Bulgers and your Gary Buckley's fit, and those types of players are integral, and they're kind of in that latter stage of their career as well. So it's just as the season progresses, it's kind of that wear and tear. If they can keep them fit, be huge. But that's a big kind of question mark for them probably. I don't think their squad is the most in depth either. Like they don't have that much strength and depth really at the strong 11. But looking towards their bench and stuff, maybe not the most stronger compared to like your Shamrock Rovers, your Pats, your Derrys. Probably have more options on the bench and more players that can fill in, especially every couple of days as well as that. So for Sligo, it's just about trying to keep that momentum up and running, and a big test for them this Friday evening, which we will get on to soon. But the final game of game week 6, lads, St. Pat's 2, UCD 0, fairly standard stuff. For St. Pat's, it's great that after the Rovers game they had 2 comfortable enough games to kind of keep that momentum going. That's 3 wins in the spin now. Obviously, playing Finn Harps and UCD, you'd expect St. Pat's to get the wins, but good that they're keeping that momentum going.
Yeah, big game on Friday night, and they're away to Derry. I was just looking there, so that, like, whoever wins that will be top of the league, I suppose. That's Derry have a game in hand them as well. They're a point behind Pats in first. But Pats just seem to just keep picking up results. Just looking at the table, like 4 wins, 2 losses. One of them against Derry as well. Oh no, it wasn't. It was against I can't remember, the name escapes me. But they just seem to be picking up wins, keeping the momentum up. And Tim Clancy happy enough. I think that's like 3 wins in the bounce now, I think. But UCD on the other hand, like you expect them to be going straight back down, unfortunately. Probably going to lose maybe Colin Whelan and Liam Kerrigan in the summer. And
you imagine.
I think if you're not going to score too much, just try not to concede. And like a friend of mine has been up in the bowl a good few times this season, and he was just saying they look really, really poor. So yeah, worrying times for them as well.
Everyone's going to come out and play football, That's it.
I was gonna ask you to Adsy about Owen Doyle. That's 2 goals and 2 for him now. Is that, as a Rovers fan, do you see that as like a bit like scary, kind of seeing like a striker that pedigree getting going for Pats and starting to bang them in?
Yeah, especially because he was doing so good in League One and League Two.
Yeah,
he had offers still before he decided to come back to Pats.
I think he was still getting in at Bolton, wasn't he? I think he was still like their starting striker. Like, yeah.
Well, I had a friend. He's a massive Bolton fan. Him and his dad would go over quite a bit, and like that, he was always in. I know he's gone on now in a bit of age, but he still looks relatively fit. He doesn't look broken down. I think that's one thing he did say before, that he said he alluded to come back. He said he'd like to come back to Rovers and so on, but he wouldn't want to come back like a shell of himself. He wouldn't want to come back, with his leg falling off him and stuff. He still want to be able to provide and so on. And he didn't. Obviously, he hasn't come back to us, but he's come back to the league, and he's just. It does look good for him. It looks good for Pats, but it looks good for him. He's still gonna bang in a lot of goals. I know a lot of people tipped him to be top goal scorer of the league this year, and you can see why. He still has that quality, even the cuteness about him. He's not going to make those mad runs, but he knows what position to be in. But when that ball is played, then he'll make his run and so on.
Yeah.
So he's just not just a good goal scorer. He's a really good player. And like that, he'll score goals. And he might not score against, say, the bigger teams as much, but it's those little niggly teams like that. UCD, Finn Harps. He scored 2 goals over the weekend there. He'll do damage against them, but that will also lead to Pats picking up points against those little teams, and that's when you need those scrappy games. He will score in those positions.
Yeah, you feel like he only needs kind of one chance and he'll take it, kind of thing. Just in terms of, obviously, Rovers were kind of linked with him as well. Probably weren't going to match Pats, giving him a 3-year deal. It was a big kind of risk for a 33, 34-year-old striker. Do you think, in hindsight, or looking at kind of Rovers so far this season, would you have taken the chance and given them that 3-year deal, or would you think that's a bit too? You have to definitely already in your greens and stuff.
You're asking me, if I want the goal scorer in him? Yes, because he's quality, but you need to get rid of somebody. You would have had to offload 2 players, I'd say. And with the squad we have, which 2 players do you offload? Do you know what I mean? It's difficult. Yeah. But I don't think
we have to look to get rid of a tail or something. That's kind of impossible, really. Like,
I don't think he'd actually suit the way we play either. Granted, he keeps himself fit and stuff, but you see the running maybe Gaffney or Green would do. I'd say they do so much more running than Owen Doyle does. Owen Doyle kind of pick his runs, whereas Gaffney and Green they're always pressing and so on. They're always even taking off after 70, 80 minutes. And they also have a goal in them every now and then and so on. But they're also there to provide goals for everyone around them rather than themselves.
Yeah.
Because that's how we've gotten most of our goals in midfield and so on the last few years. So I don't think he'd necessarily be a good fit. Quality player, like he's, if you're looking for a goal scorer just to get goals in and around the box, but I don't think Rose would have been able to just fit him in, especially the way we're going. Like, you don't want to have a case where you're molding so many players into a system and then it just explodes right in your face. It wouldn't end well, I don't think.
Yeah, no, fair, yeah. But I think for Pats, it does look like a good signing so far, and
great.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if he can keep it up now as well.
Well, he has all the players working around him. He has Forrester getting the ball to him. He has Darragh Burns getting the ball to him.
Yeah.
Jamie Lennon. So they're all getting the balls to him, so he doesn't actually have to work as hard.
That focal point kind of thing. Yeah.
So it's suiting him down to the ground, and it's suiting Pats down to the ground. So look at them.
Yeah, probably it was toss up between Rovers and Pats, I'd say, because they're probably the 2 best sides in the league with like the best playmakers. Like at Rovers, you have Mandrew, Jack Byrne, as you know a lot more than I would. But then, like Pats, as you were saying, like the likes of Dar Burns as well, like Chris Forrester, absolutely superb, like midfielders and wingers.
Yeah.
So definitely going to get the service this year, and probably I think most people I've been talking to tip him for the Golden Boot. So
yeah. Even Billy King's very underrated, I think, as well. Pats, he kind of goes under the radar a little bit, but I think he's a very, very good player. But yeah, looking good at Pats, but yeah, much bigger test for them now this weekend. Quick look at the prediction table before we jump into our predictions, lads. I've just leapt over Socko there into first place on alphabetical order. Goal difference. We'll have to get ads in on this as well, but starting at a bit of
I'm a bit behind.
Yeah. You should be able to catch Tig there soon enough, though.
Give him I don't know,
the average.
Yeah, give him.
No, don't give me the average. Don't tell me way back.
So yeah, Griff jumped into third, 15. Liam, a decent week for Liam. I think he was a bit behind, and then Ty got a shocker. So on 12, falling right off. We'll jump into our game week 7 predictions, though, lads. Starting off with another Dublin derby for both.
By the way, it's looking for them. This is going to be their biggest Dublin derby of the season.
Yeah.
For their last 2
This isn't a foregone conclusion, I don't think, to be honest with you.
No.
Not at all.
I said this. UCD will take points off these teams. You know, they will eventually. They will get a run under. They do play good football and so on. Of course, they're going to leak goals and whatnot, but they're going to get points. They're going to get the point here and there. That score 90-second equaliser against Rovers the next time we play them in the ball. Stuff like that. They are that team. I know I put a lot of faith into UCD, but you know, when you have those good players that are hungry and so on, they're eventually going to want to start winning games a lot. You know, they're probably getting annoyed themselves as well.
Joe, I saw a clip earlier on, and it was, I think, Colin Whelan running with the ball for UCD against Finn Harps, and he got absolutely clattered out of it as he was running towards their defence. Proper Ollie Horgan tactics. And I think Bows are a bit too nice in midfield now. I think Keith Buckley gone, such a blow for them. I think Dawson Devoy's a little bit nice. Jordan Doherty maybe trying to take that role a bit, but Jordan Flowers is very nice as well. Kind of lovely footballers, but don't have that kind of tackle in them that kind of break the play down, like the master of the dark arts type thing.
They don't have a midfield marshal, so to say.
Yeah.
Someone that marshals everybody, tells them where to be, and then, you know, throwing the tackle and whatnot.
Yeah, 5 games so far, 1 win, 3 draws and a loss. Like, they've had a stuttering start to this season and just haven't looked at it. Like, I know they had a raft of outgoings in the transfer window over the winter. Who saying Keith Buckley, Georgie Kelly, Ross Tierney, but like on the face of it, you'd expect you see UCD Bows handy win for Bows. When you actually examine it, like UCD could easily get a draw out of this. Worth saying as well, it is at 5 o'clock on Friday, which is earlier than the rest of the games. Yeah, because it was refixed. Yeah.
Okay. Another point I think is interesting as well. Rory Feely kind of had a bit of a stinker against Shells. I think he's kind of more of a centre back playing at right back for them. I think obviously Andy Lyons leaving the club left him in the lurch a little bit late on in the window, and they probably expect him to sign on. So Rory Feely, I don't think he's a natural right back. Shane Farrell got in behind him for the goal. I think he got sent off after that incident as well, actually, so he might be missing this game.
Was that confirmed?
But I think it was confirmed. It's really strange, that scenario, but I think he was.
I saw him get the yellow card.
Yeah,
the referee gave him a yellow card for complaining or something. But then the clip the clip went off. I don't know if he reached for another one or not. I couldn't tell myself.
Because when the extra time boys said, I can't believe I was working at a game and missed the red card, and he wasn't sure about it as well.
Chris Kamara-esque, like.
Yeah.
But Rory Feely, if he's playing, or whether it's somebody else in at right back, it's not going to be a natural right back. Liam Kerrigan on that left-hand side for UCD could cause a lot of problems here. Colin Whelan as well. That are kind of two, obviously, you go to for UCD. But I think Liam Kerrigan in particular could have a could have a lot of joy down that left-hand side for UCD. I am just going to probably play it safe for my prediction. I probably will go for a narrow Bows win, but I'm really not convinced at all by them this season. What are you thinking of?
Oh, it's a tough one. I can't remember what I texted in, and I think I always go for a different prediction. I I'd probably go for narrow Bros win as well, just because UCD have been leaking goals, and I think just the quality. And if it comes down, if it's still at like 0-0, 20 minutes to go, Bows have the bench whereas UCD I'm not too sure about. So probably narrow Bows win reluctantly. Yeah.
I'm thinking of content purposes here, but I'd probably still go for the Bows win, to be honest.
Oh, fair play. I thought you couldn't bring yourself to say it.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'll be honest.
Gritted
but,
teeth.
It's. I don't know. You never like it's a hard one to choose. So it is.
No, it is in fairness. Yeah, I think yeah, it's tough, but I think just about both. A massive game up in Derry, huge fixture in the title race, and one that Adzi will no doubt be keeping a very close eye on this weekend. Probably hoping for the draw yourself, Adzi, and that's probably what I'd playing it safe.
Yeah.
Probably a draw is a decent outcome for Rovers.
The draw would be decent for us, alright, but anyone going up to Derry is gonna be happy with a draw anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're when you're always up there, you'll be looking for a draw, and it's hard to get a win up there. I know I'll still go for a Derry win because I know Michael Duffy, I know the injury and whatnot, but in fairness to him, he hasn't really featured with Derry so far this season. I think it was his first game on Monday. I'll go for the Derry win just because it's such a tough place to go, and if you come out with a point, fair play. If you come out with a win, you're immediately, especially the way Derry are now, you're absolutely a contender. So I'll go for a Derry win.
Yeah. Slocko, what are you thinking?
You can see a draw in this one, to be honest. I think both sides are on good runs at the moment. We have seen Derry kind of concede goals in the open few games, and I think like Pats will definitely concede. And I know their backline have been decent, and Joseph Nang is on, I think, 4 clean sheets now. But yeah, something just tells me maybe a score draw on this one. Yeah.
I'm kind of torn in between you. I'll make decent case like the score draw, or it's gonna be similar to that Rovers game. Like, won't be much in it up there. Part of me is just leaning towards Derry, I think, over the draw. Just think that home advantage could be crucial here, and they might just have enough about them. But it's tough. Like, he's even thinking about Forest.
I feel hard.
It's so hard.
You feel Pats are going to be hard done by because they're on good form and beating us, and have won 2 games on the bounce very convincingly. But Derry is such a place to go. It's such a tough place to go to.
Yeah, Yeah. And it is that 3 games on the bounce a little bit not tainted, but it's a little bit like they played against the 2 worst teams in the league, like, as well as part of that. Obviously, against Rovers, they were on the back foot for a loss to the first half as well. So are we getting carried away by this 3-win game streak? If you get me, it's hard to kind of
3 wins is 3 wins.
Yeah,
it's
no, it
tough
is
against any team. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In this league, so.
Not if I'm reading too much into it, but like, I bar except for the Sligo result, I think whoever wins this will go top going into the international break. I know it's only a week. I think 10 days off. No, I think it's a week off. But like, there's an opportunity there for either side to put down an early marker. Especially if Rovers pick up another poor result or 2. A small gap might just open up there at the top of the table where we kind of expected Derry to be up there, but kind of not so much Pats. So
yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, it'd be very good watch. Probably the pick of the Friday games, is it?
100%, I'd say, yeah. Well, there's another cracker on as well, but they're all crackers, but
yes,
yeah, that's it. But I'm going to lean to. I'm going to agree with Adzi just about. I think I'm going to lean towards the home win. I think. Soccer, you were a draw, weren't you? Yeah, lovely stuff. Draw at Dundalk, a bit of a local derby there. Draw are really struggling at the moment, and Dundalk probably need to get a win on the board here, and I think they will have enough about them. I think it'd be narrow, but I think they'll just about have enough.
Yeah, I have been fairly critical of Drogheda, but both times I've seen this season, they have put together some really good passages of play, and it's just like really lapse of concentrations that do them at the back. Like, game was over against Sligo within half an hour, but they came out the second half, could have had, I think they hit the post, and then could have had another chance. and obviously missed the penalty. So they are on a bad run of form at the moment, but they do have quality in the side. That coupled with like Dundalk with 5 draws out of 6 could be a draw here. I'd probably go for a draw. Yeah, below the derby.
Yeah.
Like that though, form goes out the window for derbies too. You know, that's the like
A cliche.
Cliche alert.
It's a cliche, but you know it's completely valid. I'll go for just on the quality that Dundalk have. I'll go for Dundalk win. Hopefully again Drogheda get a big crowd, and you never know if there's a big crowd there. You know, they get behind Drogheda and maybe could cause an upset and so on. But
Yeah.
just judging off the base, just judging off the basis that Dundalk have much more quality, I'll go for Dundalk to win the game.
Yeah, fair. Massive game at Talcott Park for both sides. Shelbourne, if they can get a win here, they'll be in a really, really good place. And they'll be delighted with their start to the season. Whereas if they lose, it's completely opposite. This is a must win for Shells. And for Harps as well, it's kind of getting to that stage where it's nearly a must win for them as well. They'll be looking at a newly promoted side and thinking, we need to be getting something from this game, whether it just be a point, but just kind of stop the rot nearly and just try and get something on the board. I'm obviously going to say a home win myself, but it is going to be a tough game, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
I think in this one, I think.
I think like Atletico last night. I think Shelbourne should definitely have enough to win. Like Finn Harps haven't turned up at all this season. Probably pick Sean Boyd to get hopefully a third goal in 3 games. I was really impressed with Shelbourne. Yeah, I was really impressed with Shelbourne versus Bows. Thought they deserved more out of the game than they ended up with, and for this one, backed by a home crowd, hopefully near to sold out home crowd at Talca. I'd probably tip down for this one.
Yeah,
I'd say like that. 2 good performances from Shells the last 2 games. This is the type of game that they need to pick up these points. I'll go for 1-0 Shells again, but it's gonna be a horrible game to watch. I'd say.
I don't think this will be a nice watch at all. I think this will be a nasty fixture. Probably both teams playing 5 at the back, really tight. If it ends 0-0, you wouldn't be overly surprised with this one, to be honest, because both teams be so desperate not to make a mistake. But yeah, I think
Chelsea be confident going into this.
They should.
You know?
Yeah, they should. They should take a lot of confidence from that Bow second half, 100%.
They'll probably still play within themselves because, you know, still being early on and whatnot. But, you know, I'll still go for the Shells win.
Yeah. Be interested to see if they could try and get on the foot on the ball and try and dominate possession, because it does mirror that kind of Rovers style of play, that kind of 5 at the back. Like, I think eventually Duff wants that 5 at the back to be on the halfway line and playing in the opposition half, but still kind of keeping that solid kind of base at the back. I think hopefully we see Shells get a foot in the ball here and try to dominate the game. But on the same time, being wary of the counter attack, having that 5 at the back in place, because there is dangerous players. Your Barry McNamee's can unlock a defence here. Yo Maddy has a goal in him. There is players that can. Ryan Connolly, we saw him against Bows scoring. Definitely players that can hurt you from Finn Harp. So yeah, being cautious while trying to get on the front foot. So that'd be an interesting dynamic for Damien Duff. But yeah, I think I'm hopeful of a 0-0 written all over it. Absolutely. I'm confident. Hopefully we can break down Finn Harps and nick the win with the home crowd behind us. The final game of the game week, and another cracker up the top of the table, Shamrock Rovers, the Battle of the Rovers. Shamrock Rovers playing host to Sligo Rovers.
Only one Rovers. Remember
that. Is it Sligo or top? No, they're second or third, aren't they? At the moment.
Second.
So yeah, this is a massive game, and Sligo will be full of confidence going to Tala.
Every right to be.
Yeah.
Go on, Saka.
No, go on.
No, like they're absolutely been quality. Every right to be full of confidence in terms of, you know, the goals they've scored. You know, they've scored some cracking goals, and they've scored a lot of goals so far this season.
Yeah.
They have every right to be confident, but they are coming to they're coming to the home of the champions and so on. A new squad like that have that experience with the likes of Greg Bulger in there. You know, he's made for these type of games. He's built for them, but you know, it's gonna be. I know they're in form and stuff, but it's got as tough as it's gonna be for us. It's just gonna be as tough for them. I just think if we can weather the storm a little bit in the first half, that'll eventually wear on them, and then I think Rovers. Let's go toward my prediction. I think Rovers will show their experience and show their work ethic and show their quality more so in the second half. As much as well as Sligo have been playing, I think I predicted 2-1 to Rovers, so I'm going to go with that. I think Sligo will threaten early on. I think they might even get an early goal and so on, but I still see Rovers coming back.
Yeah. Is it worth pointing out at all that Sligo went to Tallaght Stadium last year and won, I believe, the first time they went? I think a 1-0 win. I think
it was similar to Sligo last year. Like, they got off to a great start and were playing really well, but then towards the second half of the season, they tapered off, you know?
Yeah.
So it's if you can get a win against them now, it's the time to get the win now. And then if the dip continues in the second half of the season, then it's nearly 3 points. You know what I mean? But I think it's definitely going to be a tough game, and so on. Just like that, if we can weather the storm, and it'd be interesting to see what team Bradley picks again. You know, if it's always going to be a bit of rotation. I think it's a game Dylan Watts needs to play in. I think Gaffney will come back into the team. I don't know if he's going to play Manju or Burke. Well, to be honest, I don't think Jacko's been that good, really. I know he had that game against Drogheda, which he played really well. But the last 3 games, he's kind of gone into hiding a little bit and so on. And I think Burke and Manju have kind of they've played better when they've had the ball and so on. I think than Jacko, but I don't think he'd take Jacko out of the team because he's one of the best players I've ever seen in the Rovers. Sure, probably the best. But I'm just interested in the team and how we set up against them.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that. We actually just have a comment here from Owen Conway. Thoughts on Jack Byrne, lads? 4 big games and he's been pouring them all from what I've seen. Has he upset the apple cart?
The apple cart? No, but like I don't know if he's
for being poor on all of them is a little bit harsh of assessment, I think.
Nah, he's like he hasn't been like by no means has he been like the Jacko of 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. I still think he'll get into a rhythm and then he'll be banging out assists and goals left, right, and centre, and so on. I just think you just have to keep the faith with this type of player as well. We know how good he is. I don't think I need to tell anyone how good he is. He is quality, but it's going to be difficult with the squad we have, and you know what's the right thing to do. We have to show faith and whatnot, and I'm certainly not counting out Jack at all. You're definitely not, like, but you know you need to worry about the team itself first, and then see what happens.
Yeah, he's had a year out of the league as well. It'll take a little bit of time for him to kind of settle back in. Didn't play a lot.
I'm not worried about him at all.
Didn't play a lot of football in Cyprus at all, did he not? Like, so
he was injured for most of it, and like, obviously the Cyprus situation is a bit of a mad one and so on. I know he did a few interviews about it, but he's quality. So he is. He's on his day. He's the best player I've ever seen play in the league alone. Never mind for Rovers. He'll get into a rhythm and then he'll just start producing his magic like he had before. So wait and see if he bounces back on Friday. Hopefully he does, for my sake.
Yeah. Soccer, how do you assess this one going?
I've been just so impressed with Sligo so far this season. And Rovers, that draw against Dundalk, losing to Derry, losing to Pats, like, it's been a stuttering start for them as well. If Sligo don't get anything out of this game, I'll be definitely really surprised.
Okay, go. Are you saying draw?
Yeah, I'm going for a draw. Yeah, probably
Yeah.
score draw. Yeah, 1-1.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, to me, really, interesting game. It's actually a couple of really big games this weekend, and as we kind of said, touched on like the kind of break after this. You really want to go into that break off the back of a good result and kind of lay down that marker. So a lot of massive games this Friday night. Really looking forward to that. We'll jump into some Irish talk now, lads. So we'll talk first about the under-21s. Obviously the squad was announced. Pull it up on screen now. Couple of different talking points we can touch on here. Michael Obafemi, first of all, apparently has refused to link up with the under-21s. What do you make of that? I'm not 100% sure what to make of it myself.
The only way I can make sense of it, if it's clear that Stephen's going to call him up on Friday, so I'm reluctant to say much more until we know on Friday if he doesn't call him up.
Yeah,
I think it's a massive mistake. Does not look good. I'm reminded of the Callum Hudson-Odoi did something similar last year for England. But if he does call him up, it's been clear that they've had conversations recently that it is time for him to step up to the senior side now. So I'm not sure if there's much point in kind of saying much more until Friday.
Do you remember his tweets though? When he didn't make the squad, and it was like interesting and stuff. Yeah. So there is like a little bit of an attitude kind of there from previous times that he kind of lingers a little bit, and it kind of you're not sure what his relationship is like with Stephen Kenny. And I think it's more. I don't think he's flat out said no to the under-21 call up. I think it's more he's actually been in constant contact with Jim Crawford and said, "I want to be a senior international." He's played for the senior team before.
Well, that's just as good as refusing. To be fair, though, no.
I think so. Yeah. I don't know. I feel it's a tricky one because I think if you're called up for your country, you should play for your country no matter what. But I think it's more of a probably is he only ego coming into play, and he's looking at himself playing in the championship now, and Will Keane's and Troy Parrott's and these players are in League One. He's probably a little bit of an attitude about that, but there's no excuse if you're called up for your national side at whatever age you have. It's poor form not to take the call.
If he's not in the senior squad for this, then there is not concern, but it's quite concerning for him. It's not concerning for us. It's more concerning for him.
Yeah,
like what's gone on there. There's clearly been some sort of miscommunication, or there's just a dislike between Kenny and Obafemi. There's some sort of issue there, which I don't really get because Kenny he utilised them at the under-21 level as well. I think he'll bring them in for some games and whatnot, and it wouldn't make sense to me if he's not in the senior squad at all.
Yeah. No, he's looked really sharp as of late. And with Adam Ida's injury as well, I think he's out of contention. So I'll be absolutely shocked if he's not in the senior squad on Friday, to be honest. Considering he's playing really well for Swansea in the championship at the moment, he looks really good. But remains to be seen how that goes down. Next kind of talking point of it, lads. Festi Ebiseli included in the forwards, which I thought was interesting as well. But in the under-21 squad, is he a player obviously impressed a lot with Derby in the championships this season? Obviously, kind of competing in a difficult area of the pitch, maybe in that right wing back role, alongside Seamus Coleman and Matt Doherty and stuff. But is that a player you're potentially surprised not to see included amongst the senior setup?
I wouldn't be surprised because is this his first call up for the under-21s, is it?
I think so, yeah.
I don't think they'd want to throw him in right away, especially with what's going on in Derby. Fair enough, if he was in the Premier League and doing great for a good team in the Premier League, then obviously throw him into the seniors. But I think it's going back to nurturing these players, nurturing them in this sort of setup first, having them train alongside the senior team and so on, and just getting used to this whole environment. He's still a very young player. He's a long career ahead of him. So just waiting for him to he just has to be patient with his international call up, and he's definitely playing well at Derby to warrant that. But
yeah,
just has to be patient with it and so on. And no doubt he'll be, I don't know if he's playing as a right wing or a right wing back for the team or whatnot. But it'll be interesting to see. All right.
Kenny was asked about it on Thursday and said this window probably come too early for him. Might possibly see him in June if he puts a really good run of months together. But yeah, definitely one to keep an eye out for next year's Euro qualifiers. Jesus, this plan ahead, isn't
it? Yeah. Potentially a player that is unlucky to miss out on this squad then finally as well. Do you think there's a case for young Dara Burns? I think he's in the under-21 side. Be surprised to not see him in the under-21 setup.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
It's always an awkward one with the League of Ireland and the March window because players only have 5 games under their belt rather than.
Well, there's a decent bit of LOI representation in the squad. So you're looking at Colin Whelan's in there, Dawson Devoy's in there. Andy Lyons is in there, and the two keepers.
More talking about for players who aren't in his thoughts to impress. So all most of them players are probably already in his thoughts before.
They've already been in the squad and so on.
Yeah.
So they're used to it.
Starting from scratch to impress. The League of Ireland season, it's always kind of awkward. We'll see the same. I highly doubt we'll see any League of Ireland players in the senior squad on Friday. So yeah, hopefully we can see more of him the next. I think he got the under-20 training camp call up there a few days ago. So hopefully the next window now, because he's bags potential. He's one of the most exciting players in the league. We saw him score a screamer there against Shells. Sorry, Ross. He's absolutely dynamite and definitely much more to come from him.
100%. We'll touch on to the senior team then. Just a couple of different talking points. Great to see last night Ogbene, Will Keane, Callum Robinson and Aaron Connolly all on the score sheet for Ireland. Do we see all of them being included in Friday's squad?
All probably except for Connolly. I think of it especially after the November window totally fell out of favor with Kenny. Keane, you were saying Ross Keane's in super form for Wigan, isn't he?
19 goals, 5 assists this season from number 10 role, in behind the striker.
Robinson, Ogbene. Yeah, I thought it was really interesting on Thursday. Kenny was talking about Ogbene and said he hit the ground running when he came in there in the autumn window, and he kicked on faster than they could have ever hoped. So he exceeded expectations. The goal away versus Azerbaijan. He was unlucky not to get a goal versus Portugal. I think it was Portugal. I can't remember. And then he was super in the final game against Luxembourg.
Yeah,
Connolly might be the only one I'd worry about there.
Yeah,
I think Connolly's done well enough at Middlesbrough though to warrant a recall back into the team. That'd be the only one I'd be interested in. Robinson's, he's a given. He'll be in the squad. Keane, the stats he has this season, very good, especially for the position he's playing in. Ogbene just, he's a guy. He can score goals. The goal he scored there, was it last night or the night before? It was last for
night,
Rotherham.
Oh, it was lovely.
I don't think he meant
it. Need it though,
No, I don't think so. But it was a lovely strike. I think that Ogbene for me, he's class. He's a physical presence stuff as well. He's hearing the stories of him down in Nemo Rangers. I play with one of the lads off the GA team, and he was on the team with Ogbene, and he just said he wouldn't play that often. He'd come around for championship, he'd be a 5'10" fella in midfield or whatever, and he's just dominating the midfield. He's just an athlete. He's just quality. Conley is the only one now. In fairness to Conley, he's done really well recently. So maybe that warrants a recall, but look, I'm not too sure. That's the only one I'd question here, really.
Yeah, no, but I'd probably expect to see them all. I'd imagine. I'm just trying to think of who they're competing with and how big the squad's going to be.
Jimmy Collins.
Hope he's in mission from the squad. Yeah, I get where you're coming from. He's a pain to watch at times, definitely. I haven't actually seen an awful lot of him at Middlesbrough, if I'm being perfectly honest. But the fact he's playing the Championship regularly enough and starting to score, it seems as well. You'd imagine he'd be on the radar close enough. Final thing we'll touch on, lads. Bit of a shame to see Coleman this season kind of declining, and Everton are playing shocking as well. And is that form a concern from an Irish point of view? Is his time in the Ireland squad coming to an end a little bit? You have Festy kind of coming up as well, potentially in that position. Is Seamus Coleman's time coming to an end, or is he another few years after him in Ireland? Sure.
It's been limited the last few years. Like everyone's always kind of said that like he's been getting on. It's been limited anyway. I don't think what's happened to Everton is necessarily his fault. I think the whole club is shocking. I actually feel sorry for him because I don't think he necessarily would want to be in that environment anyway, considering what's happened with Benitez and the higher ups in the club and whatnot. I'd still have him in the squad just because he's great with any new lads coming in and he can nurture young players in. I'd have him in there anyway. I'd actually like to see him come into the squad when he retires, eventually come into as a coaching role into the squad. I'd still have him in there, no doubt. Unless he has an injury, I think he's given just to have in there for 100% for lads to be around.
Absolutely. Soccer, is it? Sorry, fire away.
Yeah, I would definitely have him in. I think there's zero chance he'd be left out. Totally agree with Adam. He's more of a the Everton thing. It's not his fault. He's just kind of caught up in it. I think his form kind of reflects the form of the whole team. I'm not going to go on a big thing about Frank Lampard, but he's savage to have around the dressing room, nurturing the young players. We all remember the video of him and Gavin Bazunu before his first call up. Kenny's also always spoken glowingly of Coleman and the impact he has, and I think Coleman is a really good engine, and he's come back from that leg break in 2015, and he's come back and looked possibly even better than the player he was for Ireland before that. And in that position, I'd love to see him turn into whenever I watch Cesar Azpilicueta for Chelsea, I think he's 35, but he runs like he's 25. Like his engine is insane, and he's gassed by the end of the game, but he's his engine is absolutely super, and he can run. And I'd love to see the same from Coleman. I know there's big competition, players coming in now for us, but you mentioned Festy as well. But I have a sneaky feeling this isn't Coleman's last campaign. Sorry, the Euros won't be his last campaign. If we qualify for Euro 24, and he might decide that might be a nice time to round it off and finish and hang up with the bit. But I have a sneaky feeling, I think once players pass 30, just the first question they always get is coming to the latter stages of career. But we're seeing a lot of players kind of push past 36-ish now. So I wouldn't worry too much about him,
No, exactly. Last thing I'll say in it as well is a kind of, I think he's been playing in kind of a right back or a right wing back role for Everton, and he's done really well as part of a back three for us in that centre back role. A bit more protection, maybe is better in that role, more suited to it. Maybe doesn't have the legs that he used to, but in a kind of that back three as a centre half kind of on that right hand side, I think that definitely suits him a little bit more. And as you're saying, he's still at the end of the day still one of our only Premier League players that actually playing week in week out in Premier League as well, which is a huge factor as well. But great influence around the dressing room, and it's just a shame to see him going through a tough time.
Matt Doherty starting there tonight as well.
Shame to see Seamus going through a tough time, but hopefully him and Everton can pull it around for the end of the season. And still a huge asset to Ireland, of course. But guys, thanks a million for tuning in tonight. Please do drop a like if you haven't done so already. Much appreciated, and do subscribe. We're so close to that 3K mark. It is much appreciated. We want to try and hit it as soon as we can. Adzi and Socko, an absolute pleasure as always.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers, lads.
Nice one.